And we have a question from Eric Bender. He says, for a ship that has multiple names over its lifetime, is it always best to search on the first name?
That's a great question. It really shouldn't matter in this database. If I search for Red Jacket, I just come up with Quist Conch. That's a little bit funny. I'll have to investigate that because one of the Monongahela names was Red Jacket. Maybe I didn't connect that. So this is the launch of Quist Conch. The name that we apply, I assume that this is correct. But if I was wrong, you can always click on report an error and send me a message that there's a mistake there. It's not, the name that we're going to use here, to be honest, is the name that is used on Wikidata. And that name will vary. So I'd say you don't need to start with the first name of the ship. In this database, you should be able to find it by, in theory, you could find it by any name, but we may not have added all those names yet because this work of connecting these citations with a specific ship take a ton of time. So this one apparently had the name Quist Conch, Barnaby, Red Jacket, and Empire Falcon. It's a lot of work. Each of these is done by hand by humans, to be honest. Thanks.
Do you see the one from Lori? What tips do you have for searching or sorting ships of the same name on ShipIndex?
So I did one. You can limit your search to passenger lists on passenger or crew lists on the ShipIndex site. I just pulled up Elwell because it was in the search there, and so here's what these are so great. This is a great example. I'll point out I take as much information as I can to put into the citation here so that it can be more useful. So this was an Elwell, and it had been described because it was handwritten, and it was easy to see why people, or maybe it was just written Elwell in the original. We'll take a look, but these things are all transcribed. And because I had this large collection of information already, and they had information about the master or the ship captain's name or the size of the vessel, I was able to make corrections. It was totally understandable why the transcriber had done what they had done, but we can make those corrections. So, and also I kept the old word ELL, as well, so you could find it, but you can see the original by clicking there. So you can narrow the search by passenger or crew list. Let's see, then the next question, I'm sorry, I got caught up on that one. The question about vessels but with the same name. WASP, or what I also used Resolute as an example. You should be able to differentiate between ships when you're looking at these cards. This one, a tender of the Navy versus this Coast Guard vessel versus this steamer that was in commission from 1861 to 1865. When you come down here, and the only thing you see is the name Resolute from a Navy Records Society volume, there's just no way for me to know when I'm looking at the index which Resolute they're talking about. If you look at it, if you go get this volume 68 from the Navy Records Society and you determine which vessel it is, please take a moment to let me know. You don't really need to supply the Wikidata URL. It would just be nice to know what you find there. There doesn't have to be a Wikidata URL. We can create our own Wikidata identifier. We can create our own identifier until some point when a Wikidata identifier is created. I hope that that's a little bit useful. It's a real challenge with these, U.S. merchant vessel war casualties of World War II. Without looking at each individual book, I just have no idea which vessel they're talking about. And it's actually kind of funny in some resources, like you'll find a history of U.S. Navy vessels in the Pacific during the Vietnam War or something like that. And if the vessel that they're talking about in the index was not in the U.S. Navy, they'll indicate whose Navy it was in. If the vessel was in the U.S. Navy, they won't put any indication. And that's fine for the book, of course, because they know you assume, the book's about, the book is about U.S. Navy vessels in the Pacific during the Vietnam War. But for me, what it ends up is you get this not very helpful citation. As you go further down, you'll see, well, we have a lot of entries for Resolute. You will start to see a lot more. Here, Professor Silverstone was with us in this. Here's a Resolute in his book, The New Navy. You can then, I'll just jump way ahead. You'll see you can learn a lot more. There's a lot more information in each citation that can be a little bit more helpful.